Hi everyone, my name is Jackson Dooley. I am part of the Early Childhood Education program at Tri-County Technical College, and today I will be reading My Mouth is a Volcano for you, written by Julia Cook and illustrated by Carrie Hartman. My name is Lewis. People say I erupt a lot. I don't think I do. I have a lot to say, and all my words are very important to me. When other people talk, words just pop into my head. Then they slide down onto my tongue. My tummy starts to grumble, and then it starts to rumble. My words begin to wiggle, and then they do the jiggle. My tongue pushes all of my important words up against my teeth, and then I erupt. Words just explode out of my mouth. My mouth is a volcano. In my class, my teacher says that when we want to say something, we are supposed to look at her, raise our hand, and wait until she calls on us. I tried that. After I waited patiently for what seemed like 62 years, my important words slid down from my head and onto my tongue. My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle. My tongue pushed all of my important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. My teacher was less than pleased. She erupted right back. I know what you are saying is very important to you, Lewis, but since it is not an emergency, you'll have to wait until I call on you. It was my volcano's fault. At daycare, we were sitting on the rug, listening to Miss Polly read us a story about planting trees. All of a sudden, I thought about the time my grandpa and I planted 6 trees in his front yard. My important words slid down from my head onto my tongue. My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle. My tongue pushed all of my important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. I got a timeout. It was my volcano's fault. During dinner, Mom and Dad were talking about paying the bills. Then I thought about my friend Bill. Bill can blow a bubble inside of a bubble when he chews 2 pieces of bubble gum. Now that is really important. My important words about Bill just slid down from my head onto my tongue. My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle. My tongue pushed all of my very important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. Lewis, my mom said, you interrupted again. If somebody else is talking and you don't have an emergency, you have to wait your turn. But Mom, my words, they slide down from my head onto my tongue. And then my tummy starts to rumble. Lewis, you did it again. I got sent to my room. She said I was rude. It was my volcano's fault. The next day at school was my very important day. I had been waiting for about 126 weeks to be the student star of my class. This was my special moment. I got to share a poster with my class that had pictures of all my favorite things. I stood up in front of my class and began to tell them all about the time I went fishing. Halfway through my story, Richard started to tell everyone about when he went deep sea fishing in Mexico. His story must have been better than mine because everyone started to look at him. He was stealing my important words. Richard, said my teacher, you just interrupted Lewis. Please wait until he is finished talking, and then he might call on you. I couldn't believe how rude that was of Richard. He erupted me. That really made me angry. After talking about my fishing trip, I started to explain the x-ray of my broken arm. Just as I was getting to the good part, Courtney started to tell the class about when she broke her leg. Courtney, said my teacher, you just interrupted Lewis. Please wait until he is finished talking, and then he might call on you." I couldn't believe how rude that was of Courtney. She started talking right during my 15 minutes of fame. She ruined my important words. She almost stole my moment. When I got home, I told my mom about how rude Richard and rude Courtney. "Now you know how we feel when you interrupt us," said my mom. "I never thought about that." I just get so excited and my words, they just pop into my head and then they slide down my tongue. My tummy starts to rumble and then it starts to grumble. My words begin to wiggle and then they do the jiggle. Then my tongue pushes all of my important words up against my teeth and I erupt. Words just explode out of my mouth. My mouth is a volcano. "Maybe Richard and Courtney have volcanoes in their mouths too," my mom replied. "I never thought about that." "Well, son, the next time your important words are pushed into your teeth by your tongue, bite down and don't let them out. Then take a deep breath and breathe them back into your mouth." "Will that work?" I asked. "Only if you make it work," said my mom. That night at the dinner table, my sister Sylvia was in the middle of one of her long girl stories when my important words began to slide down from my head and my volcano started to do its thing. Just as my tongue started to push my words out through my teeth, I bit down really hard. Then I breathed my words out through my nose. As soon as my sister finished talking, I took a deep breath and back in went the words. I was amazed that they had just hung around inside my mouth and didn't flow away. Then I told my story, and nobody got mad at me for erupting. After that, I never erupted again. Well, except for the time Bill's bubblegum got stuck in my hair. But that was a real emergency. All right, so a scenario in which I think this book would be a great tool for early childhood educators would be when they're in a classroom with some students that are struggling with blurting out. We've all been a child. We've all known that sometimes it's hard to distinguish what's important to say right now and what you can let lay for a little bit. And I think this book is an amazing example for those kids about what is important to say and what's not, and how to keep those not important words to yourself until you can talk about it. Our main character at the end of the book learns that, oh, like if a kid puts bubblegum in my hair, I know that that's an emergency. But talking about my day at school while my sister's talking about her day isn't really an emergency. I also love the techniques that they have, biting the words in and breathing them out through your nose and then breathing them back in whenever you're ready to talk about it is very important for kids to learn. I think it's an amazing book for not only blurting, but also just general self-control principles. If you can learn how to control one aspect, like the blurting, you can then extrapolate it into other parts of your life. Additionally, it also promotes empathy for children, which is very important. He realized that it doesn't feel very good to be interrupted, and he realized that I'm making others feel bad, and he hadn't thought about that before. And if we introduce that concept to our children early, then it's going to benefit them so much further down. Thank you all so much for watching. I think this book is amazing for early childhood educators, so if you don't have it, I think you should definitely check it out. This has been my project, my final book project for ECE 105, and thank you.